Hey guys, I'm so excited to share a new plugin with you today because I think it solves what is widely considered one of Final Cut Pro's greatest weaknesses, which is its keyframing capabilities. This new tool is called Keyframe Toolbox. It's from my two favorite Australians, Ian Anderson and Chris Hawking. I want to let you know that this video is not sponsored, but they did send this tool to me for free to look at. And I just liked it so much, I thought it was worth highlighting on my channel because it truly is going to solve what is a huge pain point for a lot of Final Cut Pro users. This isn't a beginner tutorial on the basics of keyframing. If you're not familiar with keyframing or you're not that comfortable with it, I do have a dedicated tutorial for beginners that I will link to down below. And speaking of beginners, if you're newer to Final Cut Pro, you may want to enroll in my premium courses, Final Cut Rockstar and Rockstar Next Level, available at JennJager.com. I give you all the media to download and we work side by side in Final Cut Pro, building a video together, getting more and more complex as we go. I get great feedback on those courses. People who've been editing in Final Cut literally for years learn so much from them that they didn't know they could do in Final Cut. So if you really want to strengthen those editing skills, I recommend you check out those courses at JennJager.com. All right, now let's get back into Final Cut. I want to show you how the native keyframing in Final Cut Pro works and why people don't really like it. So you can see I've got this static shot on my timeline. It's locked down on a tripod. The focal length does not change. So you can see in the shot that the woman hands this dish to this man. And let's say I wanted to zoom in on this dish as she hands it over and then zoom back out as he hands it over to the child. In Final Cut Pro, what I would do is cue up my playhead to right before she hands over the dish. Here in my inspector, I would make keyframes on position and scale. And then I would move my playhead down a little further and then modify those values, thereby creating new keyframes. Then I'd move my playhead down a little further, add more keyframes. These are my hold keyframes. And then move my playhead down a little further than that and return all of these position and scale values to their original values. Let's play it back. We get this really weird wobble on the zoom in. Whoa. And then the movement like accelerates and then comes to a very abrupt stop. So if I select my clip and enable my transform tools in my viewer, let's zoom way in here on the viewer, you can see my keyframes represented in the shot. And if I right click, you can see they're set to smooth. You'll also notice I have this little Bezier handle where I can sort of bend the curvature of my move. Let's see what that did. It just makes things a little bit more wayward, and you really just can't control the easing or anything on these keyframes. The only other thing you can do is select the clip in your timeline, hit Control V, and I can reposition my keyframes. So I can make the action happen faster or slower by moving these keyframes around, but that's it. It's not really a good look. And for this reason, typically I would just switch all of these to linear so you didn't get that weirdness. So you can see that these keyframe movements are very limiting in Final Cut Pro. I'm going to clear out these keyframes by just resetting my parameters. And let me just close out my little keyframe editor here. I'm going to open the effects and drop the Keyframe Toolbox onto my clip. And now in my inspector, I have all of these new graphs. Now with the Keyframe Toolbox, I would highly recommend that you double click at the top of your inspector to make the inspector panel full height in your UI. So let's just take a quick look at this. With the Keyframe Toolbox, you can keyframe the opacity of your clip, the X position, Y position scale, rotation Z, rotation X, and rotation Y. X and Y do not come with Final Cut Pro natively, so that's nice. And you can also keyframe the blur. Now you'll see the graphs are different sizes. You can condense or expand the graph size with these buttons, so you can just focus on what you're using. As I run my playhead over these graphs, you can see my playhead is moving inside my timeline. And if that throws you off, you can just turn off live scrubbing with this button here. Let me disable my transform tools and show you that there are on-screen controls as well. I played with this a bit and I do feel like I prefer the inspector settings to the on-screen controls. That's just my preference. You can see that these on-screen controls are color-coded, so they match the parameters you're affecting in the inspector. But like I said, I actually feel like I personally have a better handle on what I'm doing if I just use these graphs. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate the same effect you just saw me do with the native tools in Final Cut with the Keyframe Toolbox, and you're definitely going to see why there's an advantage to this tool. So like I said, I've played around with this quite a bit, and so I'd like to show you what I think is the easiest way to use these tools and have all your keyframes lined up. So I'm going to start with scale, and I'm going to add 4 keyframes on my scale line by just double clicking along the line. So I've got these 4 keyframes here. The way I currently have the Keyframe Toolbox set up is that this whole box represents the entire duration of my clip. Now I want to look at the action in the shot. Remember, I want the shot to start zooming in as she's about to hand the dish to the man. So I've queued up my playhead to that point. I can see my playhead reflected in the graph here in the Keyframe Toolbox graph. And I want to slide these keyframes down so that the first keyframe is right about on this line. And if you don't want to change the value, just hold down the Shift key so it maintains its value. Now I want to move my playhead to the point where I want the zoom in to finish. And I'm going to take my second keyframe and I'm going to move it to that point. Now remember, I want the shot to hold tight on the dish for a few beats. So let's hold up until about this point. Make sure my third keyframe is at that point, and then the zoom out can finish here. So let me move my fourth keyframe. Now, if you're not sure if you modified the values of these keyframes, you can double click on them and see a numeric value of the keyframe. So I've got my 4 keyframes set. Now I want to change the scale between my second and third point. So I just grab this line and move this value up. Now I can only scale up to a value of 400 here, because that is the default max on Final Cut Pro. But if you want to zoom in even more, you can double click this number 400, and now your graph will go up to whatever number you insert here. So I'll go all the way up to 500 and push my line all the way to that point. Okay, so when we zoom in, we're no longer zoomed in on the dish because we didn't modify the X and Y values. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that yet. So far we've essentially done what we can do in Final Cut Pro natively. Now let's make this a lot cooler. So I want to change the curves of these keyframes to make the zoom in and out much more dynamic. So what I'm going to do is select that first keyframe, hold down the Command key, and I'm going to drag to reveal these Bezier lines. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key to make sure they stay horizontal. And I'm going to do the same with this second keyframe, and the same with this third keyframe, and the same with this fourth keyframe. Now, if we want to zoom in tighter on this graph to really get a better look at our keyframes, we can double click on it and it'll zoom in all of the graphs. And you can just slide this bar over till you find the keyframes you want to take a closer look at. And I'm just going to modify these Beziers so they're rounded, but still really sharp S-curves. See, I had gone a little too far with them, so they ended up going sharp on me. Okay, and then to zoom back out, just double click again. And let's play back what we've done there. Do you see how the move of that is just like so much more dynamic? I just think it's so much more preferable to what we've been able to achieve with Final Cut Pro's native tools. So now what I want to do is just copy the placement of the keyframes from my scale as well as the Bezier curvatures to my Y and X positions. So what I'm going to do is just marquee select all of these keyframes by holding down the Shift key and dragging boxes around them. Then I'm going to right click and hit copy keyframes, select my position Y graph, right click and hit paste graph, and then again do the same on the X. So now what I've done is I've copied the placement of the keyframes and the Bezier shapes to my X and Y positions. Now what it has done, you can see that my X and Y positions look really collapsed in comparison to my scale. It's changed the value of each of these keyframes to be the same as the scale. So we're going to need to fix that because my scale was set to 100, but I actually want my X and Y values on my first and last keyframes to be 0. So this is a super easy fix. I'm just going to double click on the graph to zoom into it, cue up my playhead to those first keyframes. Then I can just double click on the keyframe and change those values to 0. And I'm going to do that with the last keyframes. I know this is an extra step, but in my opinion, it's just the easiest way to get everything to match perfectly. Now that I've done that, I can change the value of my two center keyframes by grabbing this bar and making an adjustment to the height within the graph. But while I do this, I want to make sure I hold down the Shift key so that I'm not repositioning my keyframe side to side. I'm just moving this value up and down. So holding down the Shift key, I'm going to do that on the X and Y positions. All right, now let's play it back. You can clearly see that the moves you can achieve with the Keyframe Toolbox are much more controllable, more interesting and dynamic, and you can change the shapes of your curvatures and achieve a lot of different dynamic looks. Now you should know that the Keyframe Toolbox also comes with a bunch of different presets that you can apply within your graphs, and you can even save your own presets to make editing a lot faster. So that's the basics of how the Keyframe Toolbox works, but now I want to show you kind of a more creative way that I might use it. But before I do that, if you're watching me on a mobile device and you see that hype button, go ahead and give me those hype points. It helps my channel grow. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. So you can see here in my timeline, I've got two shots of New York. The first one is this wide aerial, and the second one is this woman chowing down on something that looks really delicious on the street. So what I'm going to do is use the Keyframe toolkit to build a transition. So I'm just going to cue up my playhead between my two clips, and I want to make this transition like 2 seconds long. So I'm going to hit R to select the range tool, and I'm going to time out 2 seconds of that clip, and then I'm going to split the clip into two pieces. And let's do the same thing on this clip. And then what I'm going to do is take one clip and stack it on top of the other. Then I'm going to select both clips, and in my inspector, let's change the scale to 50%. Now I'm working on a 4K timeline. So this top clip, I'm going to change the X position value to positive 960. That will put the center of this clip in the center of the right half of my frame. On the skyline shot, I'm going to make the X value negative 960, so the center of that clip is centered on the left half of the frame. And then what I'm going to do is add an adjustment clip above these two shots. So I'm going to cue up my playhead to the beginning of that stacked section, hit Option A to add an adjustment clip, and then we'll just trim it to be the length of my two shots. And then to that adjustment clip, we're going to apply the Keyframe Toolbox. Let's look at the scale line. There's these two default keyframes here. I'm going to select the first one and make that value 200. Let's select the second one and also make that value 200. Then I'm going to cue up my playhead to the beginning of the adjustment clip, and let's play with the X position. On the first keyframe here, I'm going to give this a value of 1920. Then on the second keyframe, I'm going to double click that and enter a value of negative 1920. And now the woman is full frame. And if I play it back, it's just this very slow push, but here's where we can have some fun. I'm going to select that first keyframe, hold down the Command key and the Shift key, and click and drag to pull out my Bezier's perfectly horizontal. And let's do it on the other keyframe as well. And now we've got a really nice looking push transition that's much more dynamic than the one that comes with Final Cut Pro. Keyframes are so powerful. They unlock so many effects you can build as an editor. The Keyframe Toolbox is available in the App Store for $19.99. I want to thank Ian and Chris for really moving the ball forward on this, because it's definitely been, like I said, such a pain point for us Final Cut Pro users. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Here's a couple others I think you might like. I'll see you guys again.